Just a heads up, I was sick for the last couple of days but I'm on the way of recovery. However, my voice is still unusable and I don't know when this won't be the case anymore. Also, time for homework is running short because of my illness but videos have to be made, so have fun with this text-to-speech program. Hi, MLG Robotom here, back with Wasteland Maniacs. Today we'll continue our card showcase series with the cards from 31 to 40. Let's go. Incremental Debt is the first card of today and it's one of the 9 legendary cards in the first set. It is very high priced at level 12 and an energy requirement as convoluted as it gets. You need 2 electric and 1 thermal and kinetic energy each to play this card. But once in play, it renders your opponents unable to do anything. Slowly but surely, it enters the playing field with a debt counter, a counter exclusive to this card. And then, as time progresses, your opponents are decimated by sacrificing units whenever it's their turn. But of course this card wouldn't be level 12 with just that, since the amount of debt counters doubles each turn. Your opponents will quickly sacrifice all their units, but this effect has a side effect that can be mean as well. Because your opponents have 2 sacrifice units equal to the amount of debt counters on incremental debt, not 1 unit less. So when they are left with only 1 or 2 units, their health total will start to tank so that your victory will come fast and efficiently. And just as a side note, the doubling of debt counters comes before the sacrifice effect, in case you were wondering. Card number 32, Electric Fence, is another guard that can be very powerful and serves as great protection for you and your units. Or rather, it punishes those who dare to not leave your things be. Electric Fence only works against melee decks, but since most units, and thusly skills, that are currently in the game are melee classes, the effect can be very potent. Because whenever your opponents do something melee related, Electric Fence punishes them instantly. It deals 2 damage to any enemy melee unit when it attacks. It doesn't even necessarily have to attack one of your units, or even when it just uses a melee skill. And this adds up fast, especially since this picks away at armor and weakens them for the duration of the combat phase. Yes, it is level 8 and requires 3 electric energy, but it is only a common card and it can still be powerful in later parts of the game against decks with smaller units. Minefield is one of 4 cards that is based on luck that currently exists in Wasteland Maniacs, if I recall correctly. And because of that, I can't really say if this is a good card or not. You'll have to decide for yourself. Potentially, it can be a level 7 double type guard that does nothing. Or, alternatively, it could decimate your opponent's units. It all comes down to luck with this card. It makes it so that whenever an opponent's unit attack you or one of your units, you have 1/3 chance that the attacking unit will receive 6 damage. Otherwise, it'll do nothing. Naturally, there are certain decks that have an easier time against Minefield than other decks. If your opponent has just a few big units, it will take quite some time to make a dent in your opponent's board. But if your opponent has a bunch of smaller, weaker units, this card can be game ending if they don't remove it immediately. So this card can be game winning or a huge pile of nothing, depending on luck and the matchup. Next up is another legendary card, and one that has already appeared in my video on card types. Harbinger of Bane is nothing more than a really big vengeful spirit with a giant axe. It has a power level of 13. So the highest number possible, which means that you can use this unit as an outlet for all your skills and most powerful gear. It is a melee unit and with 7 attack and 11 hit points it is a tough one to get rid of. In addition to that, it comes with a neat effect when it enters the playing field, since you can banish your opponent's most powerful unit and guard. Or just a unit if they don't, a guard, and vice versa. Yes, the effect is mandatory, so if your opponent has neither a unit or guard to banish, you'll have to do that to one of your cards, and in the worst cases of all, if you have nothing else, then Harbinger of Bane just banished itself. But apart from that, there isn't much to say about this card. It is a big beater with, in my opinion, very cool aesthetics. Card number 35 is a typeless piece of gear that, much like cards like Fedora, does nothing flashy, but something substantial nonetheless. It makes it so that the equipped unit can't be counter-attacked, which makes it very efficient in aggressive decks. Yes, it costs 5 energy, which is pretty steep, but you can put this gear card on any unit you want as long as it has power 5 and in any deck you want, since it's completely Titleist. Next up, we have a Titleist level 2 guard that lets you harness the power of weather. Well, its subtype is weather and it's a cloud and all, but anyway, it simply causes everyone to pay 1 energy more for gear cards. Obviously, if you have no gear cards in your deck, this won't affect you at all, and you simply ruin your opponent's fun with gear. So dependent on the matchup, just like cards like Sky Golem of Stone, this card can either be totally useless or very powerful. Card number 37 is an electric unit named Sky Golem of Storms, and it's part of the Sky Golem cycle of this set. And yes, there will be a thermal one as well, but not today. And just like with Sky Golem of Stone, this unit comes with a drawback in the way that you can only use skills and gear with power 4 to 7 with this unit. But in return you get a hybrid unit with 7 power and attack and some light armor and hit points to boot. In addition to that, it draws you a card when you play it and forces each of your opponents to discard a card at random each. So great value even if that comes at a hefty price of 8 energy. Forces each of your opponents to discard a card at random each. So great value even if that comes at a hefty price of 8 energy. Next up we have Medieval Knowledge, a Titleist guard of level 2 with a potentially very powerful effect, if you have enough melee units to make it work. Basically, it makes it so that all your melee units get +1 attack, but the effect is just a little more. It doesn't only affect combat damage but all damage created by them. So take for example Panic-Filled Horror. When it enters the playing field, it deals 1 damage to you, but with Medieval Knowledge on the playing field, that would take up to 2 damage instead. Triplexus. The Stabber is one of the few units with no abilities, of which there aren't a lot of, actually, despite what the first card showcase video might have suggested. He is just a basic filler unit for any electric deck that you can use to get through the earlier parts of the game. His stats are probably as average as they can get, but that makes Triplexus, the Stabber, such a viable unit. 1 power and attack and 2 hit points at level 2 is fairly good, and pair that with a pretty good spread of armor and you have yourself a unit you can throw onto the playing field and wait for stuff to go down. Our last card for today is Axe Warrior of Enthusiasm, a level 4 kinetic melee unit with an ability that will appear on some more cards in the future. With 2 attack and 4 hit points, as well as some minor armor, it has a solid but relatively low base in terms of stats. But it has the Thorns ability, which is an ability that punishes attacks on this unit to compensate for its stats. Again, we can use Panic-Filled Horror as an example. When it attacks Axe Warrior of Enthusiasm, Panic-Filled Horror would receive 1 point of damage. But Thorns triggers always during combat, meaning that when being attacked or counter-attacked, the attacking unit will still get the damage. If you have any further questions, ask away. Just comment something nice or constructive and subscribe if you haven't already, and with that I say thanks for watching and until next time.